I was dropping off the two younger ones at preschool, and I had stopped into the office and was just having a conversation, joking with them. We're talking about their eating habits, and one of the teachers said, "Your Sage, my youngest, I love to watch him eat. He goes to town." If you've seen him or if you've carried him, you know he doesn't miss many meals, right? She said he'll finish what's on his plate and then he'll start looking around at the other trays to see what's left. She goes, one day I saw him, I caught him giving a graham cracker to this little girl, Hollis, and he wasn't supposed to. And I said, does she have a gluten allergy or anything like that? They said, no, her family's vegetarian, so they're just very careful about what they give her, but she's a lot tinier than he is. So I had this picture of my Haas Sage looking at this little petite girl going, "Here, kid, you need this," you know. Jesus says, come, have breakfast from the peach. Here, you need this. You've been through a lot, disciples. Peter, I can see, there's been a lot going on. And I can completely see Peter saying, "I got to get out of here. I'm going fishing." And we aren't really told why that's said, whether he's going back to ordinary life, or he just can't wait for Jesus to come back, or he's trying to find they're all trying to find some bit of comfort back in what they know, which that makes sense to me. Something sounds familiar there. For here, after all the fanfare and excitement of Easter, and then follow that up with Synod Assembly that we had here for 2 days, follow it up with Western worship, I'm ready to get back to some normalcy around here. I wonder if that's a little bit what daily faith looks like. Daily faith is normal life, but it's infused with moments of the holy. I think there's truth in that. And perhaps there's also truth that this radical message of new life is so big that it's something I can only digest just slowly. That I can only absorb a little bit at a time. Like God is saying to me, "Here, Kyle, here, kid, you need this." And so I take it, and I feed on it, and I take it into myself just a little bit. We talk about the mystery of faith around here a lot, and sometimes the mystery of faith means I don't know, right? Sometimes that's what it means. And sometimes I think the mystery of faith means this is really, really big, and it's hard to grasp everything that's going on here, right? It's hard to get our minds around it, to pull it up. So sometimes I realize it's so big, I gotta go back to normal life. I gotta go fishing, right? And because when we encounter the holy, it can be overwhelming. We can try to pull up that net, but it's filled. It's filled in a way I don't understand with this crazy abundance, and I can't get it up. The boat is sinking, folks, right? That's how it feels. The abundance in this gospel, there's a lot of things in this gospel I could pick to preach on, but this one sticks with me this time around in some way. That it was that when they view the abundance, they then recognize who it is, right? In this gospel, Mary in the garden only recognizes Jesus when she hears her name called, right? Thomas, who we heard last week, only recognizes my Lord and my God when he sees and touches the wounds of Jesus. What happens here is immediately when the nets are so full that they cannot haul them in, the disciple says, "Yeah, it's the Lord." The recognition of the abundance is the recognition of Jesus and Christ's presence with them. So what is that moment when you recognize that Jesus is near for you? There have been moments for me lately where I have been absolutely stunned with an abundance that God is laying down on me. And sometimes not in a great way. Abundance can be scary. There is fear, there is worry, there is, how can I handle one more thing on my plate? I don't have enough hands, I don't have enough arms. How can I keep all of this going? You can't help that that's what happens in your mind. And I did, sometimes you do the only things you can do. I asked a couple people to pray for me. That was me saying, I got to go back to normal. I got to go fishing. And when I asked the people to pray for me, what I heard from them is, we will go with you. Right? We will go fishing together. That's what I heard. That's what I needed. Didn't know it, but that's what I needed. Because just as overwhelming as God's abundance can be, it is equally overwhelming when God's love washes over you. Because God's love is carried with that moment of abundance. The abundant love that washes over you, breaking those nets that I can't haul in all by myself. Anytime I try to handle or tame or grasp and control the love of God, I am met again with the mystery of faith. And I'm also met with the presence of Christ in all of those and all of you who surround me. In that reading from Acts, I love that reading. And one of the things that always strikes me every time I read it again, because we know it as the conversion or the call of Paul or Saul to be Paul. But what I forget about it is that call is not for Saul by himself, right? That what doesn't happen, it would not happen if Saul, Paul, and Ananias had not been brought together. That they find each other. They realize they're not alone and wondering, what is God up to in this world, right? That's what happens. And it reminds me, no spiritual experience or call happens by us alone. It happens with those who surround us and encourage us and who have fed us in faith along the way, that we need each other. We have this abundant community here to walk together and to walk with those even beyond our reach who are overwhelmed by pain or brokenness or loss. And sometimes in that abundance, it shows up in that mystery of faith. That's what we heard in the temple talk today about the social ministry aspect of how we work on ourselves and our wellness. You heard about the abundance of food that is there, sandwiches that are made, meals to be served at PNS, meals and food at Room in the Inn, feeding the hungry at Needs, an abundance of blankets and other things from Welka that will be shipped around the world, the Mid-Cities Care Corps, the way we care for our aging generations, all of these ways that we give of ourselves to strengthen our calling and our vocation as people of faith to make our communities better. We don't do that alone. We go fishing together. Today, at this table, we hear God call us, come and have breakfast. Here, you're going to need this. Take bread and wine. Come and break your fast from the holy and take in ordinary bread and wine and be fed with the abundance and the promise of Jesus' presence in your midst. Thanks